Polluted rivers from around the world. Jordan River, Israel. Once the alleged baptism site of Jesus Christ, now a shallow, polluted disaster. The Jordan River in Israel has lost 95% of its flow over the last 50 years as a result of the river being a dumping ground of waste, raw sewage, saline waters, and fish pond waste. It's estimated that 50% of the river's biodiversity has been lost, and the extent of the damage in some places is so bad that a person could almost jump across it. To overcome the problem of water pollution, the Israeli, Jordanian, Palestinian governments must unite to discuss solutions to the issue. The plan was named Eco-Peace Middle East and consists of 127 regional and national projects through 2050 costing $4.5 billion. To stop the flow of sewage entering the river, they developed water treatment plants from the Israeli and Jordanian sides. In 2013, Israel released 9 million cubic meters of fresh water from the Sea of Galilee to strengthen the flow of the river. The Matanza-Riachuelo River, Argentina. The 64-kilometre long river in Argentina is under enormous threat from pollution due to the manufacture of chemicals. 90,000 tonnes of heavy metals and other chemicals are dumped into the river each year. Historically, the river banks were home to meat salting factories and tanneries that evidently dumped their waste directly into the river. The health of the 8 million residents living alongside the river is at serious risk, with diseases like diarrhoea, cancer and respiratory problems are more common than ever. Efforts have been made to start a clean-up mission, but after spending $5.2 billion, remarkably little. So far, only 3,147 of the 17,771 promised housing units have been built for families living in the most polluted locations. All factories along the banks have been inspected for environmental safety, resulting in 57 factories being closed down, but only temporarily. Marilao River, Philippines. The Marilao River in the Philippines is so polluted that it is a real threat to human health, as hexavalent chromium, lead and human sewage enter the same water that sustains the needs of 250,000 residents in and around Manila. Small-scale lead recycling facilities as well as tanneries both dump untreated waste into the river. The river Marilao feeds directly into the Manila Bay, contaminating shellfish in commercial fishing areas, not only reducing the population of these species but also accumulating in humans. Blacksmith, with the support of the MMO Water Quality Management Board and the Environment Office, have begun to assess the extent of the pollution ready for action be taken. Small steps have been made towards a clean-up, including educational workshops being held for tannery operators and gold refiners to teach them how to minimise pollution. Number 7. The Doce River, Brazil. The collapse of the mining dam in the Doce River in Brazil is often described as the worst environmental disaster Brazil has faced. The collapse of the dam killed 19 people and, according to the United Nations, released 50 million tonnes of iron ore and toxic waste into the river, endangering 1.6 million people that live along the river. The sludge that entered the water coated the riverbanks in cropland along the entire area of the 853-kilometre river, killing wildlife including fish and bird species. Drinking water was obviously contaminated for most of the river's population. The dam collapsed with no warning for residents, even though it is said that the company that owned the dam, Samarco, knew about the leak 10 hours before the disaster. It is also said that Samarco had been focusing on expanding production to compensate for a decrease in the value of iron ore, and is more likely to ignore faults in the dam, previously outlined in 2014, before the disaster occurred. Ganges River, Philippines. This river is one of the largest in the Philippines and encompasses many smaller rivers and tributaries, 6 sub-basins and Manila Bay. The river receives much of the waste produced in the capital of city of Manila, Metro Manila, since World War II. As the population living along the river has increased, the ability to cope with waste has not. As a result, the pollution that enters the river has accumulated and is unable to sustain anything other than very hardy species, janitor fish and water lilies. Any attempts to regulate how much pollution ends up in the water have been unsuccessful and has led to ecologists considering the river dead. 65% of the pollution entering the river comes from households and informal housing along the river as a result of lack of plumbing, giving the water a dark colour, unpleasant smell and faeces floating in the water surface. Nickel, copper, lead, manganese, zinc, pesticides, nitrates and phosphates are all present in the water due to the 315 unidentified industries along the banks that produce significant pollution. As a result from these sources, the Passage River has 1,500 tonnes of rubbish a day thrown into streams, tributaries and the bay. Thanks for watching, take it easy.